Just 30% of the general Australian community socialize with Indigenous people. So we get the ideas about Indigenous Australians from media or maybe from the history books. This is important for Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians to understand each other better beyond myths and stereotypes. So, who are Indigenous Australians?
So who are Australia's Aboriginal people? Well, Australia is home to many different Indigenous populations. They include the Wiradjuri in New South Wales and the Noongar in Western Australia. Aboriginal populations are often grouped together and referred to as Aborigines. However, some consider that term pejorative. Instead, legally, the native populations of Australia are referred to as Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders.
Government made many agreements with Aboriginal community like Mabo Judgment, Native Title Tribunal and ILUA to get the Aboriginal people the national acceptance and sharing. Those were the opportunities for all Australians to come to an understanding of the shared history of Aboriginal people. This was a challenge that was not met. Unfortunately, these laws couldn't empower them as bureaucratic systems and processes are still control the lives of the Aboriginal people. In May 2014, the Indigenous Advancement Strategy was announced by the Australian government to develop the administration and programs for Indigenous Australians. But later on, audit finds Indigenous Advancement Strategy is not properly evaluated as our Aboriginal community-run organizations got less control to use this strategy. According to the German sociologist Max Weber's theory of rational legal, bureaucratic administration means fundamentally domination through knowledge. If you do not have the knowledge upon which bureaucratic institutions are built, you cannot enter in this system. Now, what about those whose power cannot be derived from the working of any institution because the language others them? Where is the gap between this system and Aboriginal people?
For most of the past 70,000 years, if you were Aboriginal, you had to cross a harsh and unrelenting desert. In this harsh environment, we not only survived but prospered, and this was long before we had mining royalties and government services. The key to our survival, of course, was a close-knit community where everyone cared about the well-being of each other, where everyone contributed to the survival of your community. If you were a child, you learned from the day you were born how to survive in this harsh environment and the rules which maintained your community. Elders enforced strict norms and values and a sense of responsibility towards each other, our children and our old people. These things were embedded in our culture. A couple of hundred years ago, the first settlers arrived and our world was turned upside down. Our people no longer roamed free anymore and new skills were needed to succeed in this new world. Now, instead of the desert, there were new barriers to our survival that we needed to navigate. Now we had to learn to swim a river. And where you learn to swim this river is at places they call schools. These schools are set up to teach you how to read and write and other important skills so you can swim the river. And the reason that we must learn to swim the river is because all the opportunities in this new world are on the other side of the river. These opportunities include things such as jobs, houses and business opportunities, all of which contribute to a better life. Many of our families have learned to adapt to this new world and understand the importance of their children learning how to swim from an early age. These families support their children, walking alongside them all the way to the bank of the river to make sure they know how to swim. Even when these children go all the way through school, they don't swim straight across the river, but they make it to the other side because they've learned one of the most important skills, how to adapt. Unfortunately, in the East Kimberley, we estimate that only 40% of our families walk alongside their kids all the way to the river bank. The other 60% of our families don't understand the importance of parents walking alongside their children. Because of a lack of parental support, the children from these families are in and out of the education system, and by the time they leave school, they haven't acquired the skills they need to swim the river. In most cases, they don't make it to the other side to access the opportunities there.
Since colonization, First Nations people were not only dispossessed of their land and culture, but at that point their knowledge became inferior to that of the white colonizers, who were considered to be experts and specialists. Nowadays, the Aboriginal people themselves are taking responsibilities to make a better future for them. Government and local not-for-profit organizations are with them.
All stand together, yeah, under the sun, uniting the people with the power as one. Telling stories with spirit, we feel it now hard. Connection grows stronger.
This is where I come from, this is where I've been, this is where I'm going, it's about what I've seen.
Welcome to the dream and welcome to my dream. Focus on my steps when I'm walking downstream. Doing close in the sun, we must accept the past.
Respecting the old ways and making it last.
Conserving our culture because it's changing so fast. We all come together because together we last.